I promise.
Brady Corbett's The Brutalist is a cinematic tour de France that had me completely captivated for its staggering 3.5-hour runtime. As the story follows visionary architect László, who recently escaped Europe post-war and arrives in America to rebuild his life, his career, and his marriage. Now on his own in a strange new country, László settles in Pennsylvania, where the wealthy and prominent industrialist Harrison Lee Van Buren recognizes his talent. Look, I don't want to be that guy and be pretentious, but this is cinema. This was a film I was highly anticipated, got a chance to see it at a film festival, one of 3 prints in the Midwest, and I saw it in 35mm. It was a pretty special event, but does that mean that the film is a masterpiece? Is it going to be one of the best films of the year? Does it stick the landing on this 3.5-hour runtime? Well, we'll be discussing that and much more in today's spoiler-free review of The Brutalist. But first, let's get the conversation going in the comments below. Let me know if The Brutalist was one of your most anticipated films of the year. And of course, once you've seen this 3.5-hour movie that a lot of people are considered to be a masterpiece, we got to talk about your thoughts. What worked, what didn't work? What did you think about the direction, the narrative, the performances, the structure in the film, the epilogue? And do you think this is one of the best movies of the year? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. As the film dives into the heart of the immigrant experience, the movie's masterful screenplay explores themes that reflect the complex interplay of culture, creativity, and capitalism. Now, director Brady Corbet, whose works on Vox Lux was the only film I've seen of his prior to this, he did such a phenomenal job of grappling with such weighty subject matters in this film. Now, one of the most captivating and compelling parts of this film for me was how the director focused on how intoxicating ambition can be for one individual and how it demands such attention and reflection.
These are yours, yes?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
Tell me, why is an accomplished foreign architect shoveling coal here in Philadelphia?
Brady creates such a dynamic sense of immersion that truly invites you to lose yourself in the sheer beauty and complexities of the story. In many ways, to me, The Brutalist embodies the visionary ideals from the classics such as The Godfather or There Will Be Blood, or even some recent classic in my eyes like Tar or Oppenheimer. Yet this film has its own distinct level of excellence, presenting itself as a near masterpiece that transcends conventional cinema. Now, speaking to, and I mean this, cinematic approach to this movie, the film's cinematography complements the film's emotional core, but also takes you on this odyssey that leaves you in complete awe every step of the way. Not only is this one of the best looking films in the year, but the score that we have here is truly remarkable. You'll notice that the score changes throughout the different decades that we go throughout this film, as it first starts off very kind of industrial, but it transforms itself to a more modern version by the time the film enters the mid-80s, and it is just one of the best parts of this film, and to me it's one of the best composed scores of the year. Now, one of the most shocking things about this experience for me with this film was how it was able to play with tone, because I know you all are thinking 3.5 hours, Oscar Beatty type of movie is going to be all monotone, all drama, and it does have a lot of drama, some heavy drama at points, but it also has this unexpected level of levity. It is a really funny movie at times, but again, it's also extremely emotionally heavy, and it never fails to keep you on your toes. Just as our main character László grapples with his identity amidst conflicting cultural landscapes, the film itself refuses to settle into a singular form. It continuously evolves and challenges itself as it goes along. Now, this approach may initially seem disorienting to viewers, but ultimately serves to deepen the connection to the material, allowing you to lose yourself in the narrative's complexities. Now, without giving away too much of the film's plot, because it is a film that I think you have to discover as you watch it, but kind of speaking to the themes a little bit here on how it focuses on the immigrant story. I found the film to be just so powerful to speak into this character's experience and trying to find the balance in navigating, seeing the cultural differences to come into America America, while also looking for his personal identity and also his views on artistic identity. As our main character László serves as a vessel through which themes of belonging, ambition, and artistic integrity are examined, as it explores the friction between different cultural identities at times, and the film challenges you to reconsider preconceived notions of success and creativity within American context. Now, I can go on and on and on about all the themes that is explored in this film, especially with the different structure of how it's broken into, but a film as ambitious as The Brutalist requires a cast that is capable of delivering performances that resonate with authenticity and depth, and this film has that and some. Starting with our main character László, portrayed by Adrien Brody, his performance is nothing short of incredible. He is almost in every single scene of this film, and he's just anchoring the film with such emotional depth and nuance. He's crafting this multi-layered performance that, as we see his character getting the opportunity to celebrate the American dream, but as the story progresses, the dream becomes a nightmare, and Adrien Brody captures all those moments perfectly. This performance truly embodies the character's highs and lows, professionally and on a personal level, and Adrien Brody's ability to convey vulnerability alongside ambition allows you as an audience to empathize with the character's journey, facilitating a deeper emotional connection to the overall story. There were times where I wanted our main character to get all of his goals accomplished. I wanted him to get his family back and just have a peaceful life. But then there's also times where the character upsets you. But that's the duality. That's the fun of this character, that you get to go on this journey with them, the highs and the lows. And whether you love the character or dislike the character by the end of the film or somewhere in the middle, there's no doubt that Adrien Brody delivers an award-worthy nomination. And I'm going to say this right now. Let me put in my ballot. I think he's going to walk away with the award, and I think he's going to get the award for Best Male Performance because this performance is truly transcending. Now, equally compelling are the performances by Guy Pearce, Joe Allen, and Felicity Jones, whose presence adds considerable depth to the film's ensemble. Pearce's nuanced performance as a character who embodies conflicting cultural values pairs perfectly with Alwyn's portrayal of youthful ambition and naivety and cruelness. Both characters definitely are more nefarious by comparison to Felicity Jones, whose character adds a level of warmth and compassion towards our main character's ambition. As the interplay amongst these characters provide a rich tapestry of relationships that further enhance the film's exploration of people you encounter who can either build you up or destroy you on your path to success. Now, I'll be expressing this a little bit later in the review, but I thought that the first act, the first hour and a half before you get to intermission, I thought was a masterpiece in storytelling, and I thought the overall film was great, and we'll talk about that later. But the second half takes a bit of a turn. Now, the film was never like a feel-good movie, even though it's like an American dream, but it becomes a nightmare. So I just wanted to put this in here before we get into some more discussions here. This is a warning for those that are like on the fence about seeing it or will be seeing it. I want to let y'all know that the film does take a darker turn in the second half. Again, it becomes more of a nightmare. We're dealing with drugs and alcohol. But there's also a scene involving sexual assault. And I just wanted to give you all a warning. I won't get into spoilers or whatnot and reveal what happens. But I just wanted to warn you all because I know it can be very triggering because it caught me off guard. And again, I just want to let you all know to prepare yourself for the second half of the film that gets a lot more darker than the first half. Which, to that point, I can say I truly didn't imagine the places the film goes. And it's oddly stranger than I expected and much more of an epic than I expected as well. It truly takes some bold choices, and I appreciate that, and I was just lost in the glory of it all, and that's a good thing in my eyes. But now that brings us into my criticisms that I have with the film, and there aren't many, but there are some flaws I want to mention here, and I just kind of spoke to it a second ago in regards to how I feel like the first act is way more compelling for me than the second half, and kind of breaking that down, I just thought that it was more interesting and it had a little bit more going for it. When we get into the second half, it does bring in Felicity Jones' character, who was great, but it added this element that didn't fully match the hopes I had hoped for with their relationship that was so talked about so many times in the first act, but just didn't think that the last hour or so was as strong as the beginning in the middle. Now, like I said, there aren't many flaws for me in this film, but I do want to talk a little bit about the ending, which I find to be very interesting. Now, I won't spoil it, obviously, but it ends on like an epilogue, and there is a time jump that happens, and that's just far as I want to go with talking about the ending, but what I'll say about the ending is, for me, it just wasn't as a satisfying conclusion to the story because it didn't feel as grand as I was hoping it to be. Again, there is a time jump that I felt kind of missed out on relationships and certain goodbyes that we didn't get to see on screen, and I just want to explore that more. But things kind of happen where on a rewatch, I might appreciate the epilogue a little bit more, but as it stands, again, I've only seen it one time as I'm recording this video, but it wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be, especially as grand of a story it is in that first act and as dark as it gets in the second act. So those are my pros. Those are my cons. Before I give you all my overall thoughts and give you my score of The Brutalist, I want to take the time to thank you all for making it to this point in the review. It means a lot to me. If you've enjoyed this review so far, hit the thumbs up, consider sharing this video, but also consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel. Overall, The Brutalist stands as a staggering achievement celebrating the art of filmmaking in a matter that feels increasingly rare in today's landscape. It truly had me captivated for its relentless 3.5-hour runtime with its ambitious exploration of culture, creation, and an immigrant experience, and it is a movie that made me feel lost in the best way imaginable, providing the true artistry that has no limits. I'm going to give The Brutalist a 4.8 out of 5. As you all can see, this film was damn near perfect, but again, the second half just wasn't as strong as the first act to me. And again, I'm still kind of in my feelings about how I feel about that epilogue, but nonetheless, this is a cinematic experience. I hope you all, if you have the opportunity, if you have the time, go see this in the theaters. Again, I know it's 3.5 hours. You got to carve out a whole time in your day to see it, but I personally think it's worth it, especially if you're into grand storytelling. And if you're into like those movies I compared to a little bit earlier, I think this will be one of the films that will, without a doubt, get nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Leading Actor, Supporting Cast for male and female, cinematography, score. Like it's gonna get a lot of nominations, and I think it's also gonna get a lot of wins. Now, we're almost at the end of the year. It's in my top 3. It's not number 1, but again, I'm going to revisit some of those films as we wind out the year, but it is definitely one of my favorite films of the year, and I hope you all check it out. And when you do, I want to talk to you in the comments. The highs, the lows, what worked, what didn't work. Is this one of the best pictures of the year? Do you all think that? Let's talk about it in the comment section. Thank you all again for watching today's review. Don't forget, you all are awesome. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next video.
Mm-hmm.